Well, here it is. One of the biggest challenges you'll face when it comes to the world of communication. How do you talk to a narcissist? Welcome to the Jefferson Fisher Podcast, where I'm on a mission to make your next conversation the one that changes everything. If you enjoy learning tools to improve your communication, I'm going to ask you to follow this podcast and please leave a review. If you have any questions or topic suggestions, just throw them in the comments. Now, on the outside, they look totally normal. Maybe you're related to one. Maybe you work with one. But a narcissist reveals themselves as soon as they open their mouth. Now, if you don't know exactly what a narcissist is, as if you've heard this term a lot, but you're not really sure how to define it, I'm going to break it down very easy. And it is simply somebody who cannot imagine thinking about someone else. They can't put themselves in somebody else's shoes. It's always about them, how great they are, how wonderful they are. If somebody else is having a good time, they need to be having a better time. If they're frustrated, they need you more frustrated. They understand that it is not empathy that they do. It is all about the gratification of oneself, and they just can't get there. It always has to be about them. They're always the victim, and it will always be that way. And the best thing about a narcissist typically is they have no problem telling you that they're a narcissist. So here's some tools that I'm going to give you the next time that you find yourself talking to a narcissist. Number one, don't play the game. Anytime you're talking to a narcissist, you are playing a game. It's a game I call praise or provoke. But at the end, we're going to find it's a rigged carnival game. It's not something that you can win, so we're not going to play it. Number two, anytime that you feel like you don't know what to do, understand that the best move you can often make is no move at all. And we're going to talk about exactly how to do that. And number three, rather than getting yourself worked up as if you need to prove to them that they need to see the wrong of their ways and they need to apologize, it's probably never going to happen, at least to the extent that you want. Instead, there are ways that you have to look within and understand that you don't need an apology to validate your own feelings, all right? How to talk to a narcissist. Now, I want you to understand for a minute, I am no psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not somebody that has a degree in this. So I'm going to be very clear with you. I'm not in a place to diagnose somebody as a narcissist. And unless you really have the ability to clinically diagnose somebody, you have to be very careful when you use that word. It's often overused for anybody that's doing something negative that they don't like, or maybe they're just not understanding you in a certain way and they're not being willing to understand you. It's easy to just throw over a blanket and consider them a narcissist. I want you to be very careful about that. So that disclaimer out there, there are people that are diagnosed as narcissists, and there are others that just have narcissistic tendencies or behaviors. So I want to make sure you understand that distinction. I typically see narcissistic behavior in my line of work. I see it among attorneys, certainly, when you have that kind of ego of who's right and who's wrong and who has more cases, who's been more successful. I see that a lot. But often it's in cross-examination. I'm cross-examining somebody, let's say they're an expert in something, or it's a personality that's on the other side of the fence as me in a case, and I have to cross-examine them, and they're just never going to admit any kind of blame, despite the evidence that suggests otherwise. And so the tools that I'm going to be discussing with you today, I want you to understand are about as practical as they can be, because there is a place that you have to go in your mind to be able to regulate yourself and go to when you know that you are talking to a behavior like this, that you have to separate that person from their behavior and understand that what they're doing is a game. Which is why rule number one is don't play the game. Anytime you're talking to a narcissist, you are walking into their trap. That is a game that they like to play. I call it praise or provoke. In other words, if they don't feel like you're praising them enough, if they're not getting enough accolades in the discussion, they will turn to provoke. They will start an argument with you because they delight in your frustration. just as much as they delight in your praise. And you feel like it's something you can win. You feel like when you get into that bad argument that you can show them their ways and how they're not listening to you, how they're not understanding you, but they will not do it. It is a rigged carnival game because it is that control that they like. They feed off of that control. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody and you talk well about a third person? Maybe it's a mutual friend that you have and you're saying something nice about that person. The narcissist will typically go, oh, well, yeah, well, I've heard about X, Y, and Z, and say something terrible about this person. Or they'll say, oh, yeah, well, I mean, I did this. How about me? They'll try and focus and put that spotlight on them. Narcissists want that spotlight entirely on them. Unless they've done something wrong, then they'll quickly try and put it on you. The key here is understand that this is a game. Often it is a game. It is a something that they enjoy in the back of their mind. And the best thing you can do is not play that game. So key number one is recognition. Recognizing that you are in a game and you're going to choose to take your pieces off of the board. You don't have to play it. And that's why rule number two is that the best move you can make is no move at all. Meaning silence is your best friend. Often when you're in a conflict with a narcissist and they're saying terrible things, you want to push back against it. You want to think that you can beat it. Instead, often the best move is to say nothing. Silence, the best thing about it is that it can never be misquoted. It can't be twisted in some sense and repeated back to you over and over, manipulated and stretched into something. Often you have this urge to say more and say longer things. Throw in 4 sentences, 6 sentences of all this reasoning that's logical and reasonable, but they don't do that. They take those sentences and they string them apart and they'll pick out one word and flip it. And all of a sudden, they're the ones that look like the victim. That's the play, is they will flip that script to twist it and make it look like they're the victim. They're the ones under attack when you know that's not the truth. Silence can never be misquoted. And if you do anything at all, we're going to stay neutral in the conversation. When I say neutral, I'm meaning you are refraining from saying things that are hurtful because they will lay this trap, expecting you, hoping that you will say something ugly. You will say something disrespectful, rude in some sense to put them down because that's what they've been doing, right? They've been throwing these arrows and no problem. But as soon as you do, oh, they act like, woe is me, and you're the worst person alive. And now you're trying to play the comparison game. And you're going to be out of depth very quickly when you go into that who's more wrong. So often when you want to stay neutral in the conversation, that means you're going to be saying, noted. That's good to know. Okay, I hear you. You're going to be using these little bitty phrases, meaning you're not going to continue to give conversation. You're not going to put a defense back and say, well, yeah, well, what if, but what about, that's going to just make it worse with a narcissist. Instead, you want to be neutral in that conversation and go, okay, noted. Thank you for saying that. I understand. Anything that gives them no ability to grab onto, nothing for them to carry on to in the conversation. So the more neutral you can be on a just a monotone, nothing